Life, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, Rebecca Ferguson, and Hiroyuki Sanada. This movie is directed by Daniel Ferguson, who honestly I have not seen any of his other films, but apparently he directed Safe House before this, which I have not seen, but I have not heard great things about. But anyways, this movie is an amazing sci-fi thriller slash horror film that I'm definitely not going to talk about too much, because this is definitely one of those movies that you need to see without really knowing too much information going into the film. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my kind of a little summary of the movie, kind of what sets up everything, the pros, some cons, and then my rating for this entire film and whether or not you should see it. Alright, so the movie starts off, this is an international kind of space station orbiting the Earth, and it's got a whole bunch of people from different countries. What happens is they retrieve the satellite from Mars that had some sampling that it got, hit off course. This is the very beginning opening shot of the movie. It gets hit off course, and then they have to pretty much capture it. And Ryan Reynolds captures it safely. If you've seen the trailer, that's what it'll show you. He captures it safely, and they pretty much study all these soil samples and whatever they find here. So what happens is they find that there is this little organism. Mostly it's all brain, all muscle, and like all eye. They find this single cell organism, and it starts to grow a little bit more, and the more and more they mess with it, they feed it oxygen, and it really just becomes something that it really just wants to survive. So some really crazy shit happens after it starts growing. So really it just plays on the kind of Darwinian kind of survival of the fittest kind of mode, where it shifts from this, non-fiction kind of sci-fi movie, kind of like The Martian, but like they find this organism and it continues to grow as they help it out and feed it, and then it just attacks back at them, and it's really suspenseful from there. It becomes a movie more reminiscent to Alien or Sunshine, where they're getting chased down by this thing and crazy stuff happens. And so I don't want to really go too much into that aspect of the film, because then it becomes kind of a claustrophobic kind of suspenseful movie reminiscent of those movies I spoke about earlier. But now that I've talked a little bit about the story, I want to talk about some pros of this movie that I really enjoyed, and then I'll talk about some cons. Alright, so the CGI was perfect in this movie, actually, because I normally harp on it, as I've said in probably my past videos. This is actually a really well done movie, and Chalvin, which is actually the organism they name, is actually really it evolves throughout the film as it adapts more to its environment, and it's really actually cool to see that aspect of the movie. Another thing is that it was suspenseful throughout the entire movie. I was at the edge of my seat the entire time I was watching it with my friend, and I actually really enjoyed this aspect of the film because it made me uneasy the entire time, and I love going into movies feeling uneasy and not really knowing what's going to happen next. That's definitely why I don't really recommend looking into this movie too much and watching the movie as it unfolds. And that's something that's really special about this movie. And overall, I just really enjoyed the story. It was kind of a little bit different, but it wasn't too different. So I'm going to shift from there to my cons, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the story as well, because it didn't feel too original, but it also felt original in the same sense. I've seen this story before, but I haven't seen this aspect of a story unfold. I didn't see an evolution of a being, trying to take over this spaceship. Another aspect of the film I didn't really enjoy too much is the second half kind of went cliche, and I don't want to talk about it too much because, obviously I want you to see the film, but it really kind of felt like cut and dry, paint by the numbers. I understood what was going to happen next. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about was Jake Gyllenhaal. I really enjoyed his character in this movie, but I didn't really get involved or in depth with any of the characters really in this movie, especially Jake Gyllenhaal. There's a couple of human moments that really stick out, and there's actually this really cool little poem that he states near the end that I think is really a touching aspect of the film. But other than that, those are just some of my cons I have with the movie. So overall, I really want to say this is a surprise for me. If you're going to go see a movie this weekend, I definitely recommend Life over Power Rangers. I'm going to watch Power Rangers soon, but I wanted to see this movie before I saw that. And this is kind of ironic that this movie came out during this time, because we have Alien Covenant coming out very soon. So it's probably a good thing that they got this out of the way. Also, Blade Runner 2049 is going to happen. So a lot of sci-fi kind of thriller or horror movies are coming up this year, and definitely this is one of the more sleeper and kind of independent films that you probably should check out. So I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. That is a definitely go see this movie. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed all the actors in this movie, and I enjoyed the entire story unfolding. And so I don't want to give you too much information, but go check this movie out. Life is a great time. So with that being said, like, comment, and share down below. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.